Okay, we're live. Let me press record. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our live show, Radical Soul-Led Living. And today I'm so excited to be joined by Mrs. Sandee Sgarlata from Virginia in the United States. And welcome, Sandee. Thank you so much for getting up so early and being with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Alexia. It's my honor to be here.
So exciting to receive the voice and the energy of what you're going to share with us today, and just your story on happiness and peace and how that has become your manifesto and your life right now. So I'm going to read your bio, your official bio, and then we're going to get into some nice juicy stuff around why you're here on this planet. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So Sandee Sgarlata is an author, a certified life coach, public speaker, retired US national and international figure skating coach. My goodness. And has spent the past 20 years helping people create lasting changes in their lives due to several tragedies that deeply affected her. Along with hitting rock bottom with drug abuse in 1990, she has spent the last 30 years in her own quest to find and maintain a sense of peace and happiness, especially during times of stress and chaos. Yeah, we're all feeling that right now. Sandee is also the host of the Happiness Solved podcast, which can be found on 15 networks, including Google, Apple, Spotify, and the Happiness Solved YouTube channel, and is ranked number 11 out of the top 80 happiness podcasts. Wow, that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You obviously have a lot to say on happiness. That's so great. Well, welcome to the show. I'm excited to see what you have to share with us. And I'd love for you to share on the figure skating part of your life, because I remember as a child watching all these movies, where you had these beautiful young girls, teenagers training to be Olympic figure skaters, and how grueling the training was. Please, I know this isn't part of this conversation, but it's
okay.
It's come up, and I think I would love to hear how that was for you and your perspective.
Yeah, so the training's very grueling. And as a competitive figure skater in my youth, I really didn't have a chance to make it. Twofold. One was it was so expensive that my family could not possibly have financed it. Wow. The second thing was, back then you had to do figure eights. And as a teenager with ADD, to make me go around in circles for an hour was just like,
oh my goodness,
I just couldn't do it.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so that's been eliminated years and years ago. So I ended up, all my only goal in life was to go with ice capades, which back then it was very, very small. It was only in the United States, and it was very, very small. So I auditioned in my senior year of high school. I made it 2 weeks after I graduated from high school. I received a letter in the mail saying that, congratulations, you're on a waiting list. So I'm kind of tall for a skater.
Yeah.
And I should have gone into ice dancing, as my coaches tried to push me, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to jump and spin. That was the fun stuff. Yeah. So all of a sudden, here I am thinking, what am I going to do now? I had never even considered college. So I went to college for 1 semester at a fashion institute, didn't like it, came back and just started working full time and started taking classes here and there. But years down the road, in a town called Reston, Virginia, if you're in the US, it's a suburb of Washington, D.C. It's a very, very amazing area. They put in an ice rink. And so I started coaching. And I just figured I would teach group lessons. I didn't have any impressive medals or, nothing, titles or anything like that under my belt. So turns out, as luck for me, unlucky for Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding tried to take out Nancy Kerrigan around February of 1994. That was when the rink was just opening up. And all of a sudden I had 50 little girls that wanted to be competitive figure skaters. So I started coaching. I had one very talented little boy, and long story short, I took him from rental skates to US nationals, watched him win his first gold medal at an international competition.
Oh,
And then he was going off to college. So that was when I stepped away. It's skating. I don't know how it is today because I stopped coaching full time in 2000 and really it was 1999, 2000. So I can't speak to how it is today. Back then it was kind of a toxic environment, and it just energetically, I couldn't do it any longer. Because there were so many other coaches that had these impressive titles under their belt, they kind of looked at me as if, who are you? You don't deserve to be here. So that was when I just decided to go out on top and just walked away from the sport that I loved. And it's just, it is what it is. It was an amazing opportunity. And I felt like because I didn't get to skate with the Ice Capades, at least I got to fulfill something in my life and it felt complete for me.
Yes. Wow. And it sounds like you've made peace with it. I mean, it's not like you're attached to, or that's so beautiful. What a beautiful story. And the little boy, just it feels like you became his mom, his mother.
Oh, I was.
Yes.
Yeah, I traveled with him. Now, apparently today, coaches are not allowed to travel with their students, which is a good thing. But back then, it was allowed. And he's, of course, he's in his 30s now. He got his MBA from Stanford. He's doing great things in the world, and we keep in touch, thanks to Facebook. And
that's so amazing.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So.
Thanks for sharing. Thank you so much. So now I would love to go into your experience of how life cracked you open, how life cracked your heart open, and to a point where you had to see who you truly are to be able to move through, those dark moments, those heavy moments of your life.
Yeah, so my book is called Happiness Solved, Climbing 100 Steps. So the Happiness Solved is the self-improvement portion of it. Climbing 100 Steps is like a mini memoir for me. There's 4 chapters where I just talk about my story, simply to demonstrate that no matter what you go through, you can always get back to a place of peace and happiness. So the Climbing 100 Steps comes from when I was growing up. We lived outside of Annapolis, Maryland, on the Severn River, and there was literally 100 steps that led from the river dock up to our house.
Wow.
And because I was an athlete, I think like every time I climbed the 100 steps, it was kind of like Rocky, running the stairs in the movie, and I would hear that song, and it was just like a happy place for me. And then there was one day I was climbing the 100 steps with my girlfriend. We were brought home early by boat because it was quicker by boat than to drive. And I was greeted at the door by my father and learned that my older brother, who was 19 years old and serving in the US Army, he was in Germany. He fell out of the third story window and died. And so my whole world came crumbling down. This was 2 weeks before my 13th birthday. And years later, I learned that because of that trauma, I had a form of PTSD. So what ended up happening, because I didn't deal with the grief, a couple of things happened. One, I completely denied that he had died. On the day of the funeral, my mother, the religion in which I was raised, you have to walk up to the casket and pay your last respects. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to see my dead brother laying in a coffin, but I did. And she looked at him, and because it took, back then, this was 1978. So it took 3 weeks for his body to get here from Germany. And I took that and kind of ran with it as a little girl. And I just made up a story in my mind that he wasn't really dead, that he was in the witness protection program, or he was a spy, or, something like that. And of course, I know that that's not the case. And the interesting thing about that is once or twice a year, I have a dream about him, and I open up the door of my house and he's standing there, and he visits me in my dream. And I just wake up with this big smile on my face, just like, oh,
that's so beautiful. I got goosebumps.
Yeah. But the others, his name is Denny. Okay. That was his nickname. Yeah, it was his nickname. But the other story that I made up is that I decided that I couldn't allow happiness to come into my life, because if I did, something terrible would happen. I equated the level of happiness I had that day to the trauma.
Oh
so for many years, I couldn't get too happy because I was so afraid that something, the ball was going to drop. So in my early 20s, I made a horrible decision of trying cocaine with some friends after work. And I had never experimented with drugs besides marijuana prior to that. And cocaine is the type of drug that if you try it more than once, you're going to be addicted to it. It's addictive both mentally and physically. Yep. So that lasted for about 3.5 years. I hit rock bottom, got my life together, and that is when I just started becoming obsessed with self-improvement. I went through many, many years of therapy to help me with this PTSD. So that I wouldn't spend every waking moment waiting to get that phone call that somebody had died.
My goodness, yeah.
And it still shows up every now and then, but I've got so many tools, that you learn how to, especially when my son was born. My son is now 21, but like going through that, and now he's off at college, and it pops in your head, and you start feeling anxious. And I've learned how to calm that down.
Yes.
So everything I talk about in my book is the way that I've lived my life for 30 years. And I practice all of this every single day because, nothing that I talk about in my book is going to be mastered. It's something that you have to practice every single day because we're always being thrown curveballs in life. The interesting thing, so my brother died 2 weeks before my 13th birthday. 2 weeks after my son's 13th birthday, I got a phone call.
Oh my goodness.
I was divorced. I had already divorced his father. I got a phone call with him telling me that he was in jail. He was driving drunk. He hit a motorcycle and killed 2 people.
Oh no, wow.
And I had to hand the phone over to my son, and watching this little boy on his hands and knees, just fists hitting the ground and crying. And it was like my best friend said to me, everything that you've worked for up to this point has prepared you for the hardest task at hand, to raise a little boy into manhood. And so his father is still in prison. He's been in prison for 7 years. And it's been, that was probably, you look back on your life when, my birthday was a few days ago. I just turned 56. So when you've lived, thank you. When you've lived a half a century, a lot of wisdom comes with that. And I can look back on my life and say every single thing that I went through prepares you for the next moment. And if I hadn't gone through that, I don't know if I would have been equipped to deal with, this huge stigma that my son experienced and the shame. And in my book, I actually published the story that he wrote in his college essay of his experience of learning about that, because I felt like that's his story to tell, really. So in my book, I have his college essay, and it's so profound. And if I could just read the very last paragraph, because I feel like this is so important, because when people experience something like that, this is written by a 16-year-old. He says, my mother always says, everything happens for a reason. And I truly believe this, because without the accident, I would have been spoon-fed my whole life. Because of the accident, I am independent and I make smarter choices. Most importantly, I learned that life happens in moments and that you cannot let one moment ruin the rest.
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always like to share that because it's really true.
Yeah.
Like we have all these moments in our life, and you have to make a decision, and it's a choice every single day as to, how we're going to proceed in the next moment.
Yeah.
And how we're going to react. Now, that's not to say when you have a major life altering, or really anything, a breakup, a divorce, it doesn't have to be a massive thing. It could just be a conflict with your girlfriend, right? Whenever you're feeling hurt, you have to feel those feelings. You have to give yourself permission to feel the feelings. Because see, I didn't do that for a solid 12 years. Now, granted, I was 12, 13, you know, going through those years, I didn't have the guidance. I didn't, back then you didn't do therapy. So I didn't know what I didn't know. But what ended up happening for me was that I ended up abusing drugs because I needed, it was that escape that was like, oh, finally I can get out of my head and not have to think about this. But eventually you do. And that's why I just always really impress upon people the importance of feeling those feelings. They're real, acknowledge them, sit in them. Because what I did was I tried to go over it, under it, around it, right?
Yes. Trying to run away.
You can, you just, and life is too short. So you just have to, you know, go through those feelings and feel them because they're real and they're so important.
It's almost as if, like the consciousness of, you know, of where we came from and how we're made was like forced you, you know, this is like, you get to feel this now. And the drugs was the portal because there was no other way you were going to do that. So going through the drug experience and hitting rock bottom was that portal, was a portal for you to actually begin to experience the, you know, the PTSD and get your healing from that.
Yeah, but I don't want people to have to hit rock bottom, you know? You know, I mean, there's just so many, there's an easier way.
Yep. Yeah.
And it makes my heart break that people struggle and struggle and struggle. And they don't realize that there's another way to live, that life can be this amazing experience.
Yeah.
You
Why
know?
do people struggle so much? Is it resistance, right? It's a resistance and avoidance. Oh, the bee that just
Oh, it's definitely that. But I think on a deeper level, it's the fear. And when you're in those struggles, it's comfortable. It's familiar.
Yeah.
And what does the other side look like? And the fear, the acronym, I don't know if anybody, I'm sure people have heard this, false evidence appearing real. Like fear is just an illusion. But, you know, I get fearful, you know, whenever you push yourself into an uncomfortable place, it's scary. It's real.
It's part of our chemical, you know, makeup.
We're hardwired to experience things like that. I mean, it's a protection mechanism, you know, because it used to be fight or flight.
Yes. You
know.
Yeah.
However, our brains are only wired. I actually saw a study by Harvard that, and this brings us back to, you know, the past 18 months that we've been living in, when we're constantly in this state of stress and the unknown and the uncertainty, it really can have very damaging effects on our health, because we're only that fight or flight, it's called the stress response. That flight or flight stress response is only meant to be, you know, while we're running from a saber-toothed tiger, or, you know, and then you get to safety, and it's like, okay, right, and then you calm down. But the whole world has been in this state of uncertainty for a solid 18, 19 months now.
Become a constant.
It has been constant. And so we really do have to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and doing things that are to reduce that stress.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Absolutely. So I agree that there are tools that we get to use to not have to hit rock bottom, to really like acknowledge the present, acknowledge what we're feeling, acknowledge what's being shown to us. And, you know, everything is working out for your highest good. I always believe that. And God always has a hand in everything. I believe there's always a hand in everything. Yeah, so it's really, really inspiring that despite all of your your challenges, and they've been big challenges. You're here telling us today that life is amazing and life can be amazing, and we all have the capacity to live an incredible, happy life. But I really like what you shared about, and what your son shared about the moments, and that each moment we can choose. We can choose, like, the fear or the happiness or the joy or the love, and it's really a choice. Like, you're right, he's right, it's a choice, and it's incredible that he's been imprinted with that. It's so powerful, and that he gets to be the ripple effect of that. I love that. Yeah.
Now, parents out there, you'll get a kick out of this. What's great about that he wrote that and now it's published, when he gets in his places, because he has plenty of moments, I'm like, a wise boy said, and I'll repeat it and he'll just look at me and start laughing. And he's like, and I just bring him right back there, and it's great. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, you call him out, and you
call him out on it.
Yes, I love it. Brilliant. My kids do that to me. Like when I'm going off on a tangent, or when I'm not being very conscious, my son will say to me, he's 9, and he'll say to me, "You're not being very conscious right now, Mom." I'm like, okay, you're right. I'm sorry.
But it's okay.
Yes.
Because we all, nobody, I always say, if you want to just live this complete peaceful life, you need to go sit on top of a mountain and just sit and meditate all day.
But even that, like, if you think about it, it's a flat line, and we don't want to be flatlined.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
We've got it, because life is all about contrast.
Exactly.
You can't have all the good without the bad.
Yeah. And the contrast, actually, it highlights the good. It highlights our capacity to shift into that, and how powerful we really are, actually, to not buy into the illusion of the fear.
Right.
Yeah.
And you need that. You need the bad times to appreciate all the good you have in your life, because no matter what's going on in your life, there's always somebody who has it worse off. So I love this example, if I can share it really quick. Mm-hmm. I had a guest on my podcast, and I'm not sure, it'll be released sometime, and then I think early next year. And I was really rushed that day, and I usually only spend a few minutes learning about the guest right before the episode, or when I'm taping it, because I want it to be spontaneous.
Yes, yeah.
Well, I wrote down her website and it just didn't click. And I was like, your website's like the quirky quad. And I'm like, and we're talking, she's like, well, yeah, I'm a quadriplegic. And I was like,
oh, wow.
Oh, okay. But it makes for a good episode, because I was just like completely, and I was like, I'm sorry. So when we started talking about gratitude, I was like, all right, so she's this beautiful woman who had traveled the world. And I think it was probably in her early 30s that she became a quadriplegic.
Wow.
And she needs 24/7 care. Wow. And I said to her, I'm like, you must have moments of why me?
Yes. Yeah.
Why me? Yeah. And she goes, oh, I do. And I said, how do you get out of that? Mm-hmm. She goes, I talk to other quadriplegics who are worse off than me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's always somebody that has it worse off than you.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's just, when you're in that stress, and life is just throwing all these curveballs, and the kids are screaming, and you've got this and that, you have to just take a moment to be like, yep, I'm so grateful I've got kids that are screaming, because there's so many women who can't have children, or who have lost their children, God forbid. So there's just, it's just that contrast.
It's the contrast. Yeah. So powerful. So powerful. Oh, I love this conversation. And we could talk for hours.
Oh my gosh. I said before we started taping, I'm like, how many hours do you have with me?
It's so wonderful connecting. And I'm so happy I started this live show in my Facebook group. I've met such incredible people. And I'm just so grateful that, we have these tools and our technology to be able to share and grow and share light, to everybody. Not just my light or your light, general, the general light. Yeah. So you've got a free gift to give to the audience.
Yes.
Would you like to share?
Yes. So I guess you'll post the link, but after months of not even thinking that I need to do this, I have an e version. It's a PDF of my book, and you just click on the link and I just name in your email address and you'll be able to download the free book instantly, share it with whoever you want. There is a workbook in the back of the book. So you can just use a notebook to go through the exercises. And yes, and if you know, my contact information is there. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
We'll drop all your contact information under the comments of this recording and the gift link. And yeah, everybody, you know, if you have any questions, you can pop them in the comments. You can email Sandee directly. I hope you've enjoyed our show as much as we have. Thank you so much for being with us, Sandee.
Thank you.
Friday. You've got your whole Friday ahead of you.
I have my whole Friday ahead of me. Thank you. I never get up this early on a Friday, so thank you for that.
Thank you so much for honoring us. Have a beautiful Friday and a great, great weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Alexia. Bye-bye.